Trying something new can be difficult, especially if there are considerable risks to doing so, like trying a whole new operating system. On this channel, I've spoken a lot about alternatives to either Windows or Mac. Perhaps you wouldn't be intimidated by a Chromebook, but can you say the same about a Linux system? I remember the first time I tried Linux and saw that black and white terminal, and I quickly ran for the hills. Looks too complicated, and I know I would mess up my system if I tried. And that's coming from somebody who isn't entirely computer illiterate. Recently, I had a conversation with a coworker of mine. He saw me using my Chromebook and was asking about it. As it turns out, he has a MacBook that still runs great, but is now unsupported by Apple. And he was looking into options for replacement. He doesn't have any other Apple products, so he's not in the ecosystem and is not really dying to get the latest Mac. And I could tell he wasn't thrilled about the idea of having to abandon perfectly good tech just because it wasn't supported anymore. So I recommended Linux. He said he tried in the past, but it's been a long time. Understandably, he's hesitant. There is a fear of ruining your machine, even if it's small. I gave him some pointers and let him make his decision. However, at the time, I didn't know about all the options. Before, I would have said the best way to test Linux would be the Linux environment found on many Chromebooks nowadays, provided you didn't get one from a school. This was my introduction to Linux. It was easy to set up, and I do have videos on this channel if that's something you want to try. You can't damage your system because it's a sandbox in its own area on your computer. Do something you don't like, toggle the Linux environment on and off, and start over without any of your files or apps on the Chrome OS side being affected. You also don't need a USB to try if that intimidates you. No, instead, you can use the web. So I'm going to be talking about a site called DistroSea. This isn't sponsored in any way, my opinions are my own. So recently it came across my feed that of its size that lets you use Linux remotely. Now this isn't a new concept. There are several websites that offer remote desktops for personal and professional computing. This is the first time I've heard that lets you do that with Linux. If you know of any others, put them down in the comments. I'd love to try them out. By the way, you can sign into your internet account in the top right. You don't have to, but if you intend to use the internet in your session, you will have to do this. So the first distro that I wanted to try out was Bazite, and I really wanted to see like a gaming Linux distro and how would it perform. I wanted to try this for a while, but I didn't have the PC in order to utilize it. And as you can see, I got it going just fine. However, upon entering the session and when it finally boot up, I was met with this error message. Not really error message, but just informing me that I would not be able to play games on this session. So unfortunately, I couldn't do the one thing that I want to do with Bazite, but otherwise I looked around, checked, just apps, and everything seemed to work just fine. There was a delay, input delay from my end, but that could be because I was on Wi-Fi. So your use case just may vary. So with all these choice of distros around, I decided it would be the perfect time to try out Arch Linux. And just for a little fun, I don't have that much interest, but I've heard a lot about this distro, and I decided since it's going to be on the PC far away, why not give it a shot? And I open it up, boosts up like normal, like the other distros I've tried. And funny thing is, it still didn't work. Not even on a different system where everything is just mostly plug and play, or just click and it works. This one did not. So par for the course of Arch Linux. You lived up to your reputation. From there, I tried other distros, such as Fedora Linux, and as you can see, there are many different options you have to choose from, and I typically stick to KDE just for the customization. And I went through the Linux app stores and downloaded a few apps. There were a few applications that I was not able to install. I'm guessing that has something to do with the amount of hard disk space that's allocated to me. I couldn't find anywhere where I can see my limit, but I was able to download a media player just fine. But when I tried to install Kdenlive, I get an error message. So that's something to look out for. This may not be like a PC replacement exactly, at least at I suppose the free tier. I believe there is a paid version of this application. So I will look at this app as more of a testing, either personal or business, just to kind of get a feel for it. And I believe if you're afraid of trying Linux, this is a perfect resource to utilize just to see how it would look, how it will function, applications that you may use. And I think this eliminates a lot of friction. Won't be too much of a replacement though.